So in this video we are going to be talking about characteristics of relation, or you can also see this or think of it as the difference between relation and a file or a table, right? So let us talk about the first point, ordering of tuples within a relation. Okay, ordering of tuples within a relation. Okay, so relation, as we defined in the previous video, it is a set of tuples. Okay, so whenever we define a set, mathematically a set is a collection, right? So in a collection there is no order among the elements. If we think about relation as a set of tuples, then it also need not have any order, because set of elements need not have any order among them. Since relation is a set, therefore elements of the set, that is the tuples within the relation, need not have any order among them. Okay, so even if I interchange the same these two tuples, the relation will not change. Okay, the meaning of the relation will not change, right? So the order among the tuples is not important. Okay, but when we are storing relation in a file, or we are displaying it as a table, some order has to be specified, right? First, if we say, if I want to store this record first, then this one, then this one, so it has to be stored in a certain order, but that doesn't mean that the order will affect the meaning of relation or will change the meaning of relation. Even if I interchange these two tuples, it will still be considered identical to this particular relation, right? So ordering of tuples within a relation is not important, right? Next point, we are going to be talking about ordering of values within a tuple. Okay, ordering of values within a tuple. So these are the values. Let us talk about this tuple, Smith 171CS. Okay, so we define an n tuple as a collection of as an ordered list of n values. Okay, so if we talk about if we say that a tuple is an ordered list of n values, then it means that ordering is necessary, right? Ordered list means first we have to write Smith, then 17, then 1, and then CS, right? If we specify this order, then ordering is necessary, right? What is the meaning of an n tuple? N tuple means a tuple having n attributes, or a tuple belonging to a relation whose degree is n, right? So when we talk about this ordering of values within a tuple, it is important. Okay, if we talk about that definition of relation, right? That is, that defines an n tuple to be an ordered list of n values, right? However, if we look at it, even if I put this entire attribute, if I interchange these two attributes, right, or if I interchange these two columns, will the meaning change? Will the meaning of relation change, or will the relation change? No, not necessarily. So it turns out that if the correspondence between the attributes and its values is maintained, then the meaning of the relation doesn't change, right? As long as the correspondence between attributes and values is maintained. It should not be like I write Smith here, right? If I interchange these two attributes, then it should not be like I have interchanged even these values, right? As long as correspondence between attributes and values is maintained, the meaning of relation doesn't change. So then we come up with another definition of relation, right, which defines a tuple as a set of attribute value pairs. That is, according to this new definition, what happens is, new definition, a tuple is a set of attribute value pairs. Okay, so it is a set of. When I talk about set, the ordering becomes unimportant, as we saw in the previous characteristic, right? So in a set, the ordering is not important. So when I define a tuple as a set of attribute value pairs, the ordering doesn't becomes unimportant, right? Let us say this is tuple T. Okay, so if I write T as name attribute value pairs, right? We have to write a tuple as a set of attribute value pairs, right? So if I write attribute is name, and value for value corresponding to that particular attribute is Smith, right? If I write, then I write student number is 17. Then I write class as 1 and major as CS, right? So I have specified all the values present in a tuple, right? How? By specifying it as a set of attribute value pairs, right? So it is a pair of attribute and value, right? So even if I write T as, since this is a set, right? Since we have defined tuple as a set, let me write it another way by interchanging the order, right? If I write S number, student number as 17, then I write class as 1, major as CS, and then in the last I write name as Smith. So it won't affect the original meaning of this particular tuple, right? Even if I write T as this way or this way, T will remain same, okay? Why? Because it is now defined as a set of attribute value pairs where the ordering is not important. As long as the correspondence is maintained, is the meaning changing anywhere? No, right? Why? Because we have maintained the correspondence, so the meaning isn't changing, right? So when, as long as meaning of tuple doesn't change, we don't have any problem, right? So this definition of a relation or this definition of a tuple is also right? What was the earlier definition of a tuple? An n tuple is an ordered list of n values. And what is this new definition or alternative definition of tuple? A tuple can be seen as a set of attribute value pairs, right? Although the ordering of values is not that important, we restrict ourselves to the previous definition of relation, that is an n tuple is an ordered list of n values. Why? Because of simplicity, right? Because it will make the thing simpler and not any reason, right? So that's why we will restrict ourselves to that particular definition in which the values within a tuple are ordered, right? That is, we will write the values in a particular order. Okay, so we will restrict ourselves to that definition. This definition is also correct, right? Now let us talk about the next point. Now let us talk about next characteristic of a relation. Values and nulls in tuples, right? Values and nulls. Okay, so every value in a tuple has to be an atomic value. We discussed in the previous video as well that every value has to be an atomic value. What is an atomic value? It should not be divisible into multiple components, right? Indivisible. What is the meaning of atomic? Indivisible, right? So when we restrict the value of all the attributes, or if we restrict all the values within a tuple to be atomic, what it means is multi-valued attributes as well as composite attributes are not allowed, right? Multi-valued attributes and composite attributes are not allowed. That is the reason why we also call the relational model as a flat relational model, right? What it is called? Flat relational model. Flat means no hierarchy. It is also called as flat relational model. Okay. So how do we deal with multi-valued or composite attributes? You remember multi-valued and composite attributes, right? While we were discussing ER model, right? So if we have to represent multi-valued attributes or composite attributes, how do we deal with them is, for multi-valued attributes, we represent them using separate relations, right? And for composite attributes, we represent them using simple component attributes. What I mean to say is, if I have a composite attribute like address, that has a state, city, pin, and maybe street number, right? If this is a composite attribute, right? Why? Because it is composed of multiple attributes, right? So now in order to represent a composite attribute like address in our relation, what we will do is, we will not write address, we will not put address like this, we will not put address as an attribute in the relation. We will write the simple component attributes, that is, we will write street number, state, city, pin. Okay, we will write this simple we will write the simple component attributes of a particular composite attribute. Okay, so no need to worry about that. We will look at it later when we discuss about how to convert ER model into relational model, right? For now, you can understand that every value in a tuple has to be atomic as far as relational model is concerned, right? So now we have to talk about null values. So why are null values used is, null values are used to represent the value of attributes that are either unknown or may not apply to a tuple. Example, null values can be used in two cases. Either the value is unknown or either it is not applicable. Okay. Example, we have already discussed in ER model, right? Not applicable example is college degree. Okay, so for a student who has not been to a college, the value college degree is not, the attribute college degree is not applicable to that particular student. So in that case, we specify the value of that particular attribute for that particular student as null, right? Because it does not apply to that particular student, right? So that comes under not applicable. Also, for some students the office phone number will be null. Why? Because students do not have an office, so the office phone number can be null. Why? Because it does not apply to them, right? So that is an example of not applicable. When we talk about unknown, so this class can be classified further into two types. First is exists but not available. We have already discussed it previously. Exists but not available, and another one is we do not know whether value exists. Okay, we do not know whether value exists, so it is actually unknown. So example of exists but not available is the attribute height, right? If height of a person is given as null, what does that mean? Does it mean that height does not exist? Height of a person cannot not exist, right? It has to exist. It can only be the case that it is unknown to us, right? So it exists but not available, so it falls under this category of null, right? And the other one is we do not know whether it exists or not. For example, if home phone number of a student is given as null, so we do not know whether it exists or not. It may be possible that the student does not own a home phone, or it may be that he has a home phone but we do not know its value, right? So that is the second category of unknown, yeah, of null values, right? So we have to avoid null values as much as possible because it leads to ambiguities in further cases, or while handling null values we have to be very careful. For example, if I say that customer A and customer B both have same addresses, both have addresses as null, right? So what does that mean? Does it mean that customer A and customer B have same address? We do not know, right? So for different types of null values under different situations we have to handle them differently, right? So it is best to avoid null values, right, as much as possible. Now let us talk about the fourth point, that is interpretation of a relation. Okay, so the book I am referring is Navathe, in case you don't know. You can find all of this there if you want to dig deeper into it. Okay, so now let us talk about interpretation of a relation. So some relations, if you see this relation, okay, this is a relation, right? So some relations represent facts about entities. So what does this relation represent? This relation represents facts about a student. What is a student? Student is an entity. So this relation represents fact about an entity, right? So some relations represent facts about entities, and some relations represent fact about relationships. So entities and relationships we studied in ER model, right? So since relations are used to represent both entities as well as relationships, it at times becomes confusing as to figure out what a relation represents. For example, if I have a relation like majors, okay, so we have a student number, let us say, and we have a discipline. Okay, so let us say student number 2 majors in discipline CS. Okay, so what this relation represents? This relation represents information about which student is doing majors in which discipline. That is, it relates, every tuple relates a student to the discipline in which he is doing his major, his or her major, right? So this relation represents relationships, right? Relationships of ER model, it is representing. So relations represent both relationships as well as entities, right? So it becomes confusing to figure out both of them, right? So it represents both of them uniformly as relation. Do you find any difference between representation of this and this? There is no difference as to how you can make out whether it is representing a relationship or it is representing an entity. There's no difference as such, right? So it becomes difficult to differentiate between these two, right? So this is about the characteristics of a relation. This is about characteristics of a relation. Now let us talk about the constraints that are applied to values that we enter in a relation, right? So you understood all of this. Let's talk about relational model constraints. Okay, relational model constraints. So the relational model constraints means restrictions that are applied to the values that we enter in a relation. So these restrictions are called as constraints, right? So these constraints can be majorly classified into three types, or they are of three types. First one is implicit constraints or inherent model based constraints, right? Inherent model based. Second one is explicit constraints or schema based constraints. Okay. Third one is application based or semantic constraints. Okay, so we have three types of constraints basically in the relational model. What are implicit constraints or inherent model based constraints? Inherent model based constraints or implicit constraints are the constraints that are inherent or implicit in the data model. For example, all the constraints that we discussed just before this, that is characteristics of relational model, those are the constraints that are inherent in the data model. So those, all of them fall under implicit constraint or inherent model based constraints, right? Or I can give you an example that if that this constraint that a relation cannot have duplicate tuples, it is an inherent model based constraint. Why? Because it is implicit in the relational model. Why? Because relation is considered as a set, and in a set there are no duplicate elements, so no two relations can there cannot be no duplicate tuples in a particular relation. So it is an example of implicit constraint or inherent model based constraint, right? So explicit constraint or schema based constraints are the ones that can be directly expressed in the schema of the data model. What was the schema? Description, right? Description of a relation, or a description of a relation, right? Or description of a schema. So the constraints that can be directly expressed in the schema of the data model are called as explicit constraint or schema based constraints, right? We will learn about this. So our main focus will be on these constraints, right? These constraints we are going to dig deeper into, right? Now this one, application based or semantic constraints, are the ones that cannot be directly expressed in the schema of the model, of the data model, and hence it needs to be enforced by the application programmers, right? We do not I mean to say that we cannot directly express it in the schema of the data model, hence it has to be enforced by the application programmers, right? So we do not, so mainly we are going to be talking about explicit constraint or schema based constraints in the upcoming videos, right? So I think the time is much now. If I go beyond it, the video will become too long. Okay, so we'll discuss about explicit constraints or schema based constraints in the next video, right? This is it for this video. If you like it, then please don't forget to press the like button down below. Subscribe to my channel for more such videos. I'll see you in the next one.